Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel, where we do everything Championship, League One and running. And today it's Championship, and it's, I suppose, technically the game week 5. So let's go on as we usually do, and we'll look at the previous week, or 2 weeks ago, where we had quite an outstanding week, may I say. We managed to get 7 correct results, one of which was the correct score as well. Let's go through them now. Luton Town versus QPR. I said it was going to be a 1-1 draw. It was a 2-1 win to QPR. I said Blackburn Burnley was going to be a 2-1 win to Blackburn, and it was a 2-1 win to Burnley. So they managed to come back a little bit stronger there. That was something I didn't reckon on. Cardiff City versus Middlesbrough. I said it was going to be a 2-1 win to Middlesbrough. I thought that Cardiff might just sneak a goal in here, but they didn't. It was a 2-0 win to Middlesbrough. Coventry Norwich, I said 2-0 to Coventry, and it was 1-0 to Norwich, so that was a surprise for me. And then comes up most of my good results. Derby County versus Bristol City. I said 2-0. A lot of people going with Bristol City, and it was 3-0 to Derby, so I got a correct result there. Leeds versus Hull. Most people saying it was going to be 2-0, 2-1. I said 3-0 to Leeds. It was 2-0 to Leeds, so I got a good result there. Millwall Wednesday. An awful lot of people, most people in fact, saying a draw. I went with it with the majority and decided that I couldn't really split them. I went 1-1, and in the end it was a 3-0 win to Millwall. So an interesting collapse there by Sheffield Wednesday. Oxford versus Preston. Now this was one where people really couldn't make their mind up. A lot of people saying 2-0, 2-1 in both directions. And I decided to plump with Oxford and say I think they're going to continue this run. I think it's going to be a 1-0 win to Oxford. It was actually a 3-1 win to Oxford, so an even more impressive technical display there, I thought. A really good effort by Oxford. Plymouth versus Stoke. I've seen 1-0s, I'd seen 2-1s, 2-0s. It's been this one. There's another one of those mixes where people couldn't quite decide if Plymouth were going to get their first win under the belt, and I just thought, no, I think it's going to be a Stoke City win, 2-1 to Stoke. It was a 1-0 to Stoke, so really good there. The thing though that is the defence, because I wasn't quite sure about Stoke's defence. They can be a little bit. They've been a little bit rocky of late, so I just thought they'd let one in. They didn't. Good on Stoke. Portsmouth versus Sunderland. They've been playing so well until I think the Middlesbrough game, and then they've sort of like eased off a little bit. A lot of people saying both directions here. I plumped for 3-1 to Plymouth, to Portsmouth. So I got Portsmouth 3, Sunderland 1. And I upped Sunderland's score. I was going to say 3-0 and I changed it to 3-1. And it was actually 3-1, but it was the opposite way round. So it was Portsmouth 1, Sunderland 3. West Brom Swansea. I said 3-2. A lot of you got it right. A lot of you got it spot on. It was indeed a West Brom win, but it was only 1-0. Sheffield United Watford. Now this was one where people were thinking there were going to be goals in this game. That Watford, with that winning streak, they're not going to lose this without a fight, are they? And Sheffield United are going to want to improve a bit. And I thought 1-0 to Sheffield United. It was 1-0 to Sheffield United, and that was my correct score. That was my correct score. So that's that list out of the way. Now, let's go on to game week 5. Now, I will just back that up with some information there. So we'll put that on the side, if you don't mind. And we're starting with Hull versus Sheffield United. Now, Hull versus Sheffield United. There's an awful lot of people plumping for Sheffield United. A lot of people going for draws. But when you look at the stats, I think Hull City, they're not... They've been sort of stuck in the doldrums. They're not playing bad football. I don't think they're playing bad football at all. Even though they're in 19th position, I really don't think they are. I mean, they lost in the Carabao Cup, albeit 2-1 to Sheffield Wednesday. Lose 2-0 to Leeds. You really can't. I mean, the only other games, 1-1 against at home to Bristol City. You would have thought they'd have done better than that. And to lose 2-0 away to Leeds, well, that's probably something you'd expect. So you have to look at who they're playing in that, and you think, well, there's a lot of sides that they should have really done well against. But then you look at Sheffield United, and they eased a little bit of a win against Watford, and I say eased because Watford didn't play well at all. And then against a pretty poor Norwich side, I thought, who were playing kick and run, and I mean kick the player, not the ball. Away they drew 1-1, and I just don't think Sheffield United have been clicking just yet. And I just worry that neither of these teams have shown what they're capable of. Both of these teams are capable of a hell of a lot more than what they are doing at the minute. And even though Sheffield United are 8th, I still think there's an awful lot more for them to give. And certainly Hull City in 19th, there's a hell of a lot more they can give. I've seen every single scoreline on the books here. I've seen 3-1 in each direction, 2-1 in each direction. I haven't actually seen a 1-0 in either direction. And I've seen 1-1 draws. I'm actually going to plump for that they're both going to equal themselves out, because they're both going to be trying really hard to turn this season around right at the beginning. And I'm going to go Hull City 1, Sheffield United 1. So that goes for tonight, which we may be doing on live stream. So if you want to have a quick look tonight, we shall be trying to do a live stream. I'm at work early in the morning. I don't know if I'll quite get the time, but we shall have a go and we'll see if we can. Leeds versus Burnley next, and Leeds versus Burnley is an interesting one. Most people are going for Leeds, and you can see why with Burnley. I know they're in 6th, and I know Leeds are in 4th, but Burnley just aren't. I like that 5-0 win against Cardiff was just a capitulation by Cardiff. I don't think you can really take that 5 goals as being where Burnley are. But then they had the 4-1 win away at Luton just before, and you'd think that they'd really managed to utilise that. But then they played Sunderland, but Sunderland are first in the league and lost. And then they lost in the Carabao Cup to Wolves, but it is Wolves. Blackburn, they should really be doing better at home against Blackburn, and a 1-1 draw wasn't that good. I actually think Burnley may prove people wrong in this game, because Leeds they have actually turned things around. They have in the last 2 games, certainly Wednesday and Hull. I think they've really shown that they can actually step up the game and then put the brick wall in place, and that's it. We're not going to go any further. Certainly against Sheffield Wednesday, I think that 2-0 up and then bang, that's it. We don't want to press because we don't want to lose it. So it's very, very difficult. I'm going to go with the majority saying Leeds are going to win, although I've got a feeling that Burnley may just be able to sneak a 1-goal win in this one. But I'm going to go for Leeds 3, Burnley 1, but don't be surprised if this is a sort of 2-1 win in the Burnley direction, because this is a really difficult one to go with, because you have to look at who Burnley have played. And, the likes of Sunderland and Wolves, you can't realistically wipe them off for losing against a Premier League side and Sunderland, who are first. So I think we'll stick with Leeds 3, Burnley 1. Millwall versus Luton. Millwall versus Luton's interesting. This is one of those that goes both ways. And people are going 1 or 2 goals for either side. 2-2, 2-1, 1-2. I have actually seen one person say 3-1. I'm going to go with the majority. I think a lot of people are thinking Luton are going to really start to shake off this poor start. But Millwall, for me, have been a little bit more constant. It's been a very consistent style of play, and they play consistently good football. Not brilliant, but good, and certainly top half, top 10, I would think. But Millwall are 15th, Luton are 23rd. Don't think about the 23rd. Luton, I think, will start to get this together and they will turn it round. Will they turn it round in this game? Some people are saying so. Some people are saying 3-1, 3-0 to Luton. I'm going to go with one of those scorelines I hate giving out. I'm going to go Millwall 2, Luton 1. Let's say that could go absolutely any direction whatsoever. Oxford versus Stoke. Now, this is an interesting one because this, again, I've seen 2-1, 2-1, 1-2 and 2-2s and 2-0s even. I can't really say I find this one easy. Again, there's so many difficult games this weekend. I think the thing that gets me about this is when I look at this from the Stoke side, they only managed to beat Plymouth away 1-0. But then in the Carabao Cup, they blew Borough away 5-0. But it was the Carabao Cup. A loss to Watford, but they were high-flying. A loss to West Brom, which perhaps at home they should have done better with. Oxford, on the other hand, they had 2 Championship and a Coventry in the Cup as a defeat. So, I think that it's going to be quite an interesting game. I can't really split them because I think Oxford are doing really well, and I think that little bit of a blip's going to slightly dent their enthusiasm. It is at home though, so I think they will do well at home, but I think it's going to be Oxford 2, Stoke 2. Blackburn versus Bristol City. I think most people are going with the Blackburn here. I think Bristol City are quite consistent. But the losing 3-0 away at Derby County may be a little bit of a blip perhaps, but being able to score 4 at home against Millwall, that was pretty good. And on the other opposite side, you've got a Blackburn side who are their typical, playing, pretty good. I'd say they're probably at about 70-75% of their abilities at the minute. They're quite a lot higher and a lot better than what I thought they would be when I did my prediction video, which you can go and see. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to go with Blackburn 3, Bristol City 1, and that's sort of in line with most of the fans. I think Blackburn are more consistent and more near the top, nearish the top level of their abilities. Can Bristol City turn it round? I think they could turn it round if they improved, and I think they will improve at some point. Will it be in this game? I don't think so. Maybe I'll get proved wrong. Derby County Cardiff, 10th against 24th. This has to be a game that we would have been looking at and thinking this is going to be a game of relegation. Certainly right at the beginning, that's what most predictions were thinking. And yet, now we're seeing people, I don't think I've seen anybody not say Derby County is going to win this. I think Derby County will win it. I think Cardiff just haven't shown any fight whatsoever. And will they get a win against Derby? No, I don't think they will. We know what Derby County is like. We know what their manager's like. Well, we certainly do. And at home, he's not going to want to allow a team like Cardiff to get anywhere near the final third. I think they'll find it difficult though, because Cardiff are one of those teams that have been trying to put that brick wall up, and then when it gets broken, sometimes it just collapses. I don't think it'll collapse here. I think it's going to be Derby County 1, Cardiff 0. Middlesbrough versus Preston next, and there's a lot of goals being predicted in this. One or two people don't think there is. One or two people are putting it 1-0 towards Middlesbrough. I can't see Preston turning this around, not just yet, because Preston, 21st position, Middlesbrough 7th, and I don't think Middlesbrough are firing on all guns yet at all. I think at home against Preston, this may be the opportunity they need to show the fans how serious they are about getting in that top six and staying there. I think it's going to be a really good game. I agree with most people. I think it's going to be a 4-goal thriller. Some people saying 5 goals. I'm going to go with 4 goals. I'm going to go Middlesbrough 3, Preston 1. Plymouth versus Sunderland next, and you have to feel for this. It's 22nd versus 1st. And Sunderland are just firing on all cylinders, aren't they? And I don't think I've met many people who really thought that Sunderland would be as good as what they are. 3-1 win against Portsmouth, 1-0 against Burnley, 4-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. They lost in the Carabao Cup to Preston, but then won Cardiff 2-0. And you have to think that they can score, and they can score 2, 3, 4 quite easily. Whereas Plymouth are tending to try and shut up shop and then try and win on the break. I don't think they're going to be able to do that, not even at home. And they're usually really, really good at home. I remember the first game prediction getting commented by a couple of Plymouth fans saying, we're really good at home, we're going to do well, and then they didn't. And I just think that it's going to be a trounce, and I think I'm going to go a little bit harsher than everyone that I've seen on the predictions and on the comments. I'm going to go with Plymouth 0, Sunderland 4. So Sheffield Wednesday versus QPR on this it's starting to sound like a relegation battle from last year, isn't it? So it also sounds very much similar club-wise from last year, because they both finished absolutely astronomically, didn't they? I mean, Wednesday really soared out of the bottom 3, and QPR sort of gently strolled out of it a little bit earlier than that and just went clear of anywhere near the bottom 6. So I think this is going to be an interesting game. And simply because if you look at the teams that Sheffield Wednesday have played and who they've lost against, you can see how Leeds, Sunderland, and they won against Hull City and Plymouth, lost against Millwall, but Millwall have actually started to play quite well, especially at home. They're starting to make the Den a little bit more of a hated place to go again, which they haven't had for the last couple of seasons. So Sheffield Wednesday, with who they've played, they've not actually played that badly. They've played quite well, just not got the results I think they really would have expected from them. 20th position, I think the fans will be quite disappointed with that, but I think the results just haven't turned because of the teams they're playing against at that particular time. QPR similar, 2 games against Luton, 1 in the cup, 1 in the league, but then they won one of them, 2-1. They drew against Plymouth, which was unexpected. Drew against Sheffield United with 10 men, which was a great comeback, and to win 3-1, to lose 3-1 at home to West Brom, that was probably one of the difficult ones for them to take. But they didn't lose faith at that point, which is quite important. I think both teams are playing really well. Both teams have just been hit by a little bit of bad luck, I think, and just not quite getting the run of the green. I'm trying to see where I would take this one, because a lot of people are saying a draw. An awful lot of people are saying a draw. I've seen 1-0 to Wednesday, 2-0 and 2-1 to QPR. Who's going to come out of this best? Because I think someone's going to get the run of the green here and someone isn't. I am tempted to go with Sheffield Wednesday, because Sheffield Wednesday have that home advantage. But I think the fighting spirit of QPR just edges me on this one. I'm going to go Sheffield Wednesday 0, QPR 2. Swansea versus Norwich next, and Swansea-Norwich is a really difficult one for people to look at. Swansea were firing on all guns. They had such a great strike force, and then all of a sudden it just seems to have disappeared. 1-0 away, 3-1 win to Gillingham, 3-0 win to Preston. They can score, but they just seem to have stopped scoring against the teams they need to be scoring against. So Swansea, I'm a little bit worried about their ability to score. But there again, I'm just as worried about who Norwich are scoring against. And I've seen a lot of this kicking people and just being quite, I don't want to say dirty. I think some of the play that I've seen from Norwich, I've been really, really surprised about. Will it work against Swansea? I don't think it will. I don't think that style of play will work against Swansea. They've been used to being at the near that bottom edge where people just start playing in that's a similar manner. I'm going to go with the majority here. And the majority are saying Swansea 1, Norwich 1. Watford versus Coventry next. And Watford-Coventry, again, this is a Watford team that were on fire. And let's face it, nobody would have bet that Sheffield United were going to win them. But they did. And Watford actually played poorly. I really think they played quite poorly. But I think that that blip, and especially being at home, this could they can make that into a blip, and I think they will. Coventry have been sort of average, not playing really well. I think there's a lot more that they can give. The last time out, 1-0 defeat at home to Norwich. Norwich aren't playing that well. So I think that it's going to be... I think Watford are going to get back into winning ways. I think it's going to be Watford 2, Coventry 1. Portsmouth versus West Brom next, and we'll move on to the following day. So Watford, Portsmouth versus West Brom. Now Portsmouth had played, what an opening set of games for them. To go to Leeds and then Luton in the league and draw both games was absolutely amazing. A 3-3 against Leeds, the way they played that was absolutely brilliant. The Borough 2-2, I think they didn't play as well there, but they still managed to get a draw. And then then Sunderland, they really didn't play well at all. And I just think, I'm just thinking that are they gonna stop this little slide? Because if they carry on with this slide, teams tend to go about 6 games with these slides. And I'm going to make a prediction. If they lose this game, I think that there's another 3 or 4 games that they'll lose or draw before they get to have a win. I think this is a game where they have to turn it round, and this has to be the game where they win, or they're going to probably go on one of these 6-game with 1 point streaks, which we see quite a lot of in the Championship. On the other hand, West Brom are starting to turn it round, but they're turning it round against teams that don't really score that many. 2-1 against Stoke, 1-0 against Swansea. Both of these teams not prone to many goals, and you have to think that it's going to be quite tight, this, and I think it will be. and neither side can really push too far forward, because they both need to stamp a good scoreline on this, because at the minute you've got Portsmouth in 18th, West Brom in 2nd, and yet, you know, West Brom haven't really been scoring freely. You know, it's not been a massive goal fest for them. 3-1 defeat away at Southampton, followed by a 3-1 win away at QPR. They lost at Fleetwood in the Carabao Cup, which you probably wouldn't care about. A 0-0 at home to Leeds, 2-1 away to Stoke, followed by 1-0 to Swansea. And it's those two that have propelled them into second place, which means, you know, it's not really in relation to how they're playing. That's not the position they should be in, because they've just played a couple of two teams that don't score very many. So this makes it really difficult, because most people are going for a West Brom win, but then there's the odd one thinking, well, actually, if you look at who they're playing, I'm going to go for a Portsmouth win. Not many going for a draw. It's literally split almost evenly both directions. I think Portsmouth need this more, and I think I'm going to go with Portsmouth 1, West Brom 0. Thank you very much for watching my Game Week 5 Championship predictions. Please like and subscribe. Watch along when I'm on, tonight perhaps, and on Saturday certainly, and I'll see you then. Thank you and goodbye.